Welcome to A Guided Life. Join empowerment influencers Johnita Francis and Trish Rock as they present no fluff conversations about life, empowerment, spirituality, and freedom.
Each episode is off the cuff exploration of the state of the world and its energies. So come along for the roller coaster ride of this episode and see where it takes you. Here we go. Hang on.
Here we are again for the second time this January.
Yeah, back again. So, hope you have all had an interesting January. I can't believe we're at the 27th already. I mean, that's just nuts.
I know, right? The year's nearly gone.
Easter, whatever, Easter hot cross buns are already on the bloody shelves.
I know, right?
Which I'm not complaining about because I secretly love them.
Oh, I saw something about that. Actually, someone had mentioned it, and it was like, oh yeah, I've missed them. It's been at least 3 months since I've seen them. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So this has been a month of alignment for us personally, and I also think globally as a planet. Lots of alignment.
And I think, the last, they shall not be named 2020, the last few months were really, in particular, I mean, the whole year was very challenging, of course, but I think the last few months really, if you were hanging on for dear life or refusing to budge, I think Mother Nature give you a fair kick in the kahunas, and you were forced to make changes in your life, whether you willingly went there or whether you were forced to go there. And sometimes Mother Nature, she just separates things and takes things out of your life. And they're always a blessing. It doesn't feel like it at the time,
Exactly.
but it's always a blessing. So yeah.
It is. And that the picture I'm seeing as you're saying that is someone being dragged by the hair out of the cave, like in the caveman days. Like, you're coming whether you want to or not.
I promise you, the sun's shining outside. Just do it. Yeah.
The arms and the legs saying, no, don't hit
me. And strangely, I've just popped my own face on that image. Yeah, look, I think obviously, following on from our live show about alignment as well, it's just such a hot topic because what we thought we may have wanted in our lives previously was just thrown out to recycle bin, the green rubbish, or whatever you want to call it, but it was just chucked out and unceremoniously. And I think that alignment and where we're seeing ourselves and what our resolution is, or what our goal is, or our vision board, however you choose to keep that jangled carrot, that motivation in front of you, I think being in alignment with yourself and your path and your purpose this year will be paramount to how you react, how you sort of roll with the punches. I mean, you're never going to be 2020 taught us that we cannot control external influences. We can't control anything, not even the bloody cat. No. But it did teach us that the one thing we can control is ourselves and our reactions to things. So I think starting our podcast with alignment and how that looks and what that feels like, and having a month of talking about it and seeing the blogs and seeing the different random videos that were popped up and the articles and things like that. I think alignment is a great way to start. Get to putting the framework together, building that foundation for the rest of this year.
Absolutely. And alignment really was what we were all, kind of forced to do last year. And as I've said, we've been all forced through the eye of the needle, and our baggage just didn't fit, and it all just had to be stripped away. But, there are so many people, and I know, so many of the clients I've had, especially in the last 3 months, and you'd be the same, Johnita, it's difficult to move into self-alignment when you've been allowing other people to have control of that alignment for so long because it's easier. But this year, this 2020 really was like, what, that just doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah,
doesn't really feel good anymore. I don't know what's on the other side of it, but it doesn't feel good anymore. And that's been difficult for people to let jobs go, to let friends go, to spend, let partners go. A lot of relationship issues this year.
Oh, yeah.
And, and to really becoming into alignment with yourself and allowing that to play out. And, the people around you getting to know new rules kind of thing, I guess.
Rules of engagement, absolutely. Yeah, like, beautifully said, because it really is 2020 in so many different ways was all about reflection. And I don't mean reflection as in a mirror reflecting. I mean as a reflection of thinking about, do I really want this job? Do I really want this relationship? Do I really want this in my life? Does this suit me now? And because we've been forced to do things that we thought we had control over, but we actually didn't. So perception was a big thing that rocked a lot of people's worlds last year. And so we've had to really, and if you were smart, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but if you were smart and you really used that time, that introspective time to reflect and think about things, you would have chucked a lot of things out, probably the baby even with the bathwater. So it's been so now, that what did this look like? We had to find ourselves and our true selves, who we were before all that other stuff happened to us. And some of us, thought, oh, that's a bit of a shitty trait that I have, or that's something that I needed to let go of, I need to grow. And you've like it or hate it, you've actually had the opportunity to do that, because 2020 was such a year of stripping back. So,
absolutely. And even seasoned professionals like us, we went through the mud.
I've been off social media since October because I just knew that my self-reflection was something that I needed to go through myself. And I'm really good at helping other people solve issues, and I'm a solutions expert, and this is what I do. But I actually needed to stop all of that so I could base my own solutions on myself and what I needed to let go of,
and see what was in alignment with you and what wasn't. Because when we are in that noise of social media and of other things happening, it's difficult to know what's in alignment. It feels good, but only because it's a habit.
And is it a habit that we actually want? Like I love the habit of going to the gym. If I went to the gym for a different reason, would I still love it? Probably not, because my reason is for fun. It's for time out. It's something I love to do.
Yeah.
So it's, finding what it is that we want as an individual, and not being embarrassed or apologetic about saying, look, this is just not going to work for me anymore, whether that's a relationship, a friendship, a career. A lot of people, my osteopath walked away from his business.
Wow.
And he, I would have to put in an appointment 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time just to see this man. So he's very clever at what he did. And I recently got a letter a couple of weeks ago saying, look, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this anymore. My passion is to be a science teacher. I want to go and teach kids about science. That's my passion. And at first I thought, you selfish bastard. Who's going to do this stuff for me now? But then the more I read about his letter, and his passion came out about wanting to teach kids science, and about, you could feel it. And I'm like, you go. Like, I'm so proud of him, because he had a booming business, but it's not what makes his heart boom.
That's it. And you had a little bit of that as well at the end of the year, when you were, stopped some of your work online and whatever. And, you got that reaction from people too. And I guess it's kind of just, when you're really good at something, you become that landing point for other people. And it's difficult for them to change. But ultimately, it helps everybody along the line. Like, everybody learns from something. But definitely alignment. And that last week in 2020 with the full moon in Cancer, which is really, I'm not a horoscope expert or astrology expert like you are, but I know that it came with a lot of nurturing, but self-nurturing, but also kindness and softness for self, but also the strength and the empowerment to say, this is me and this is what I want and this is what I'm going for, and not in a harsh, controlling way like the old masculine energy, but a self-love way. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going for.
Absolutely.
So, so many of us started the year off in that energy, which is beautiful. So perhaps now at the end of January, some of that has worked and some of it hasn't.
I think with Cancer, if we think about the crab, okay, so you can have a soft shell when it goes through a transformation, but it is a water sign, so it's going to be an emotional reaction to things. Now, if you poke a crab, it will stick its little hand up, it will bite you, and it will give you a warning. But it's still soft and squishy on the inside. It still goes through a transformation. It's still a water sign. But we are a bit more fiercely defending our territory and saying, hang on a minute, these are my emotions. I'm entitled to feel these, whether they've manifested as anger or grief or disappointment or happiness or joy. You shouldn't, and more people finish the year thinking, this is me. I'm not going to apologize for feeling like I do about this situation.
Absolutely.
So it's actually, I think I couldn't honestly ask Mother Nature to give us a better bloody moon to finish that bloody year off, let me tell you. And of course, the transiting planets were big transformational planets too, and big things were happening in the skies, and a lot of people felt them on different levels. You're not, just because the planet's moving through, obviously doesn't mean that we're all going to be affected in the same way. It doesn't need to bounce off your chart. It will manifest in different areas of your life. But a lot of people felt the shift that's happening towards the end of the year in one way or another. It's unmistakable that we all felt something, and it was like, we just know that there's more to life than what we've been living through and what we've had chucked at us and what we've tried to cling to. It reminds me of that picture where there's a rope around someone's wrist, and it said sometimes it's easier to just let go. There's less pain in letting go, and the rope is no longer cutting their hand. And for so many of us, we were hanging on to a lot of stuff unwillingly and really not knowing that we were hanging on to it. So it's,
that's it. And that last full moon, and then even into the first week in January, I think, really allowed people to really let go of some of that baggage and get fully in to the new vibration. So, I think January is always an interesting month, though, isn't it? Because it kind of starts off, everyone's gung ho and I've got this.
Go to the gym, I'm going to get muscle.
It's going to be the best year ever, doing all that stuff out, right? Best year ever, blah, blah, blah. We say it every year, and then by the 3rd of January, you're like, oh, well, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, paid for that gym membership, been twice. Then I wasn't drinking, got a beer in my hand. Yeah.
It's nearly Easter, the year's over.
My life is over. What is my purpose? Why am I here? What is the meaning of happiness?
That's it. So at the end of last year, I was really, trying to encourage people not to write resolutions because they're just so evil, because you get to even the 1st of January and you're like, oh, damn, that didn't work, right? And you just think, I'm such a failure, and then you just have a really bad few weeks.
That's it. You set yourself up to fail. You really do. And then you think that that's how the rest of the year is going to go. And it's just, it's a false promise. Don't make false promises to yourself. So
I know, right? So intentions are far better. So intentions are still a goal, but intentions are a lot softer than resolution intention. And so I really encourage people to do that. And, I can see that some people have been flowing that way, and it's a bit less harsh on yourself. But with this energy that we are all in now, I think there's less beating up of ourselves too.
Look, I tend to agree. You introduced me to something last year, and it was like your word, your life word, or your year word. And I love that because, sometimes we start something and we think, I'm going to be a success. And then we realize that word success carries all the way through, but the definition of it changes.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting,
really love
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah, so that year, choosing a year word, and I've seen this on Instagram a few times where other people and other healers are trying to encourage people to choose a word. What is your word for this year? And it could be peace. Now, this time of the year, peace could be just shut up, Rellos, go home. But peace come Easter might be, wow, I've got peace in my job. And by September, wow, I've got peace in my garden. I've got All the birds are coming to have a little bath now. I never had that before I put the bird bath in. So peace will be your word for this year, if that's what you choose, of course, subjective. But the definition of it will change. And I really love that because it allows you to grow in the way that you're supposed to grow. It allows your path to flow much more easily than sticking something on a vision board and saying, right, that's what I'm getting this year, because that might not be yours by divine right. So, I really loved what I'm really grateful that you taught me that. It's just a brilliant piece of advice for anybody listening, to choose a word.
The words are good, and you can have that life word, but also that year word as well. So really interesting. So last, 2020, I can't even remember now. I think my word for 2020 was freedom. I think. It's interesting. I can't even remember. It's just like, what is it? I'll need to go back through my images and have a look. I think it was freedom, but that actually took on different meanings for me through the year as well. And this year it's about strategy for me, which doesn't sound very sexy or glamorous or anything else, but it's about time.
I think the marketers would say that's an unsexy approach. Marketing taught me the word unsexy, which means
where's the fun in strategy? Where's the fun and joy and freedom in strategy? So but that and that will take on different forms as I flow through the year as well. But I think it's definitely a great thing to do, is having a word. And so many people might have already done that in January and are allowing that to flow. So if someone now at the end of January is already kind of feeling like they failed this year, I really don't feel that there'll be too many, because we're all in a different energy, and people are a little bit less harsh on themselves, a bit more self-loving, a bit more in the flow. It's like, oh, okay, well, that didn't work, let me try something else, instead of going into the whole fetal position on the floor feeling like a failure. So I think if you did resolutions, or if you did intentions, but it's morphing, I think it's okay. And I just feel people need to know it's okay to morph. You don't need to stick with the same intention for too long, because our energy is shifting so fast.
Definitely, 100% agree. And I mean, the Chinese have got Chinese New Year, so you can really technically scrap January and start from February with a new way of doing things, if you feel that strongly about it. But, do what makes your heart sing. Don't go to the gym and lose weight if you really love eating, and eating is something that you want to do, and you will hate exercise because you actually have a really good vision about your body, whether it doesn't matter what your body shape is, but if you love yourself and you love eating and you hate going to the gym, don't go to the bloody gym. Go find something else to do. Go to cooking classes and teach how to make better choices, perhaps, if you're making poor choices. So do what makes you happy, and it will feel more fulfilling for you, automatically. So,
Excellent. Well, that's when you're in alignment, that's what you do, isn't it? You follow your joy. You follow what feels good. You follow what feels good, and you don't set yourself up for those personal
negative thought patterns.
I
remember when you taught me about my word, and Trish said to me, what's your word? And the first thing that popped in my head was peace. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like that idea. Well, probably about a month ago, I'm like, I said peace, God damn you. Peace. How the hell is this shit peace?
Is this when you're being dragged out of the cave by your hair and holding onto the sides?
I'm glad. I thought I would have no fingernails left. I was hanging on for dear life, like dragging me across the hot coals. But through all of that letting go, I actually got peace, and it feels so much. It's hard to manifest something in an emotive state if you don't know what that emotion feels like. And I had honestly felt like I'd never had peace in my life. So how do you manifest peace if you don't truly understand what that feels like? You kind of got an idea because other people will talk about it, or you can read a book, or you watch a movie, or you got this idealistic vision of what peace might look like, but you can't actually emotionally attach to it because it's not something that you've felt.
Yeah.
And I had to go through a lot of trauma to get to the peace. Would I do it again? You fucking bet your bottom dollar in a heartbeat, because now I can actually manifest more peace in my life because I know what it feels like. And it is the most powerful thing you can do, is choosing that life word or that year word, and it will pop out your mouth. You know, just get your friend to say, don't say it, don't ask me today, ask me in some random, and over the next month, just ask me what my life word is, or what my year word is, and it will fall out of your mouth because your subconscious, your superconscious already knows what it is.
It knows what the next step is, and then that becomes your it's already your silent intention from your subconscious, isn't it? But it becomes your more obvious verbal, visual intention, and life just unfolds. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's liberating, and it's not even, you know, when you go through childbirth and that's painful. When you cut your finger or break your arm, that's painful. It's a different kind of pain, because as soon as it surfaces and you go, oh yeah, I get this. This is part of my life word. This is part of my year word. This is part of my peace journey to find peace. You can let it go. You cast the burden out and it's gone. It's gone instantly. You don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But that suppression, that not asking yourself, it's not watching yourself, it's not being in alignment, or even starting the first step towards alignment. You know, most of us don't know what alignment is, and that's okay. We don't have to know straight away. But taking that first step and really paying attention to ourselves, and it all unfolds. So
and it may not be obvious, because when I said to you peace, because I think there was another word that you said, and I'm like, no, I'm getting peace, and you're like, oh yeah, peace, because that's exact opposite of what your life was. I'm like, how can that be my life? How can that be my fucking life word?
Yeah, that's more me.
When I've had no peace in my life, like that is the life word. My life word is love, and I haven't exactly had the opposite of that, but I haven't really embraced it. So it comes in different stages. So if you are looking for a life word, it's never really the obvious one.
Definitely
it's
not.
The one you've been it's usually the opposite of what your life has been. It's the opposite of what you've experienced. And then, you know, in the yearly word, so for my word this year of strategy, that's really about me expressing self-love in a different way, because the strategy of business, my life, and lining things up is creating more freedom for me, which is me nurturing myself and loving myself. So it still relates back to the word
freedom.
And everything just really lines up when you get clear on that. So, you know, Johnita and I really hope that everybody who subscribes to this podcast, and if this is you listening now, that, you know, you really aligned yourself with what your heart is calling for, what your heart is asking you, and what feels good. That's really it, isn't it? What feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Do
you know, and and then just go for it. And if it changes, it changes. Like I'm still on that peace journey. I'm there. I can feel it. I know what it tastes like now. I've got it in my life. But I'm still working towards more peace. And my word will change halfway through the year. I know it will.
Yeah, but it'll still be towards peace, though.
Absolutely, it'll be a deeper layer or a different perspective on what peace looks like. So,
and it will just realign depending on where you are. But the energy is changing so fast, and for the last 6 months of 2020, it was just so fast. We're manifesting things instantly, and we do shift. So what I want today could be very different tomorrow, and I'm okay to realign with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing we need to just let go as well. If here we are at the end of January, if you're listening to this and you had intentions at the beginning of January that are now shifted, be okay with it. Realign.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, hang on to that because it was what you decided in January and I'm going to force myself to have that all year. Don't do it.
No. And, if you think about alignment as being in alignment with your path, the path is not dead straight. We're not talking about a bloody superhighway here that's just straight and you can see everything. We're talking about, through a bit of bush and through over a creek and over a bridge and under a tunnel and, might have to climb over a log. What our alignment is it's like a little lantern each time along our path, and we go, right, there's the light, I'm going to work towards that light. And there's the next light, I'm going to work towards that. So it will shift, and it's not going to be a super highway but the lanterns will be there, and the more you pay attention to yourself and the more you really do what pleases you and not what you think everybody else wants you to do, that's the big key thing here.
There's the key, right? There's the key right there.
Then that lantern will keep turning up. And if you get stuck, say, infinite spirit, show me the way, show me my path. Spirit is busting to answer you. It's only your fears and doubts and conditioning that stops you from believing the answers that you're getting. But if you chuck all that doubt out, say, okay, infinite spirit, I need you to show me my path, the bloody lantern will pop up every single time. Trust me.
And it'll be almost immediate too, if you really believe that. So should we give we'll give everybody listening 3 tips each about perhaps realigning, or if they haven't done any aligning yet for the year, time goes fast. So some people might still be back on New Year's Eve, right? So they might wake up one day and go, where did January go? Anyway, if you're still there, we can give some tips on alignment. And if you need realigning, let's do that. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Sorry, love the way you spring that on me. I thought you go first. You're like,
no, I just need a minute to think. Yeah, I just need a minute to think.
Tip number 1, be prepared to be flexible. Okay. Like I explained earlier, and like Trish has explained, the word is a word. The definition will change. You have to be flexible. You cannot be rigid. Your path is not rigid. Your growth is not rigid. Life is not rigid. Your thoughts, your fears, and your doubts, they're rigid. Chuck them out. You have to be prepared to be flexible. Second tip, be kind to yourself. We are spirits having a human existence. Humans, by essence, are naughty. Like Adam and Eve, all the history tells you we're naughty, we're sinful, we're little shits, okay? Have fun with being a little shit. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to get things wrong. Own up to it. Be accountable. Be responsible. Say you're sorry. Forgive yourself. Forgive the person that may have triggered you. Forgive the soul for the expression or the lesson, but be kind. Okay, because we're all in this together. We're just at different stages of our journey. Number 3, for alignment. Oh my God. Have fun with it. Seriously. You have to have fun with it, because if it becomes a chore, you will fucking hate it. You won't want to do it. And you won't grow, because you will be resistant to everything that comes along. You have to be a person of non-resistance. That means chuck that doubt out, chuck that fear out, have a giggle. Don't worry if it gets embarrassing. Don't worry if you make a boo-boo or make a blunder. Get back on the horse, get back on your path, ask spirit for some guidance, show me where the next lantern is, and then just keep plugging away, okay? It's the most rewarding journey. It's a journey to self. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean it's going to be hard, but you can certainly have some hell fun along the way.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I love all of those. Awesome.
Now it's your turn.
Yeah. So I agree with all those.
You can't nick it. We want number 3.
So I definitely agree with all that. So let me add to that, to really quieten the mind and find some quiet time for yourself to really understand what it is that you want and to realign. And I think 2020 taught a lot of us that the noise that we choose to be in was just simply a distraction. So we didn't have to think about
ourselves
aligning. So that was a big lesson. So I think, you know, for many people listening and watching this, they've had that epiphany last year. So really, if you get back into that distraction mode,
Yeah.
you'll feel it, because it will feel out of alignment. So remove yourself from it, even if it's just for an hour, and just get back into alignment energetically, because from there you can make better decisions from rather than being in that messy energy. You can't make decisions from there. That's coming from fear. What's the next thing? Yeah, be kind, but also just be okay with the shift. Be okay with changing it, changing tack, changing the road. You know, spirit pops up a light on a road over there, and you're like, but I in my heart said on this road, just take the other road. Just be okay with it.
Yeah.
And go, because that's losing the resistance, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
And resistance keeps us out of alignment, because what's that story it's not a story, what's that thing I often say? It's like we are in the car there at the bottom of the mountain, or we're standing at the bottom of the mountain, and we've got a set idea of what we want at the other side of the mountain. And so we're in resistance to any other outcome, and we don't allow any other pathways to open up. But spirits up there at the top of the mountain can see all of the zillions of possibilities and chooses the highest one for us that we can't even imagine. And when you're in that trust and in that alignment, it all lines up perfectly. Yeah. So that's the second thing, just allow the change. And the third thing for me really is to allow the triggers to also guide you back to alignment.
Yeah.
Because if something is triggering you, it's not really about the other person. And I think the energy shift in so many of us last year was about stepping out of any blame or, victim or whatever it is. And so now if you're getting triggered, just use that as why did those words make me cry? Why did that action make me angry? And how can I get back into alignment? Because if you're in alignment, you won't have those reactions.
Yeah.
So that would...
I actually, that's brilliant. I'm really glad that you added that part, because I was having a conversation with my husband a couple of weeks ago, and something came up, and I said to him, I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm an adult now. And we weren't arguing or, having crosswords or anything. It was a very calm adult conversation about something completely unrelated. And I know that sentence sounds stupid. But to me, it's like, hang on, what am I still hanging on to as a child? What am I still hanging on to as an inner child? What do I need to let go of? And why did I feel the need to remind myself that I'm an adult now? Yeah. So instead of me saying, getting the shits, going outside, blaming Terry because of something that he inadvertently said that he didn't even realize he said, because let's face it, boys don't half the time. But I'm like, okay, this is something for me. This is my inner child saying, hey, I like donuts, but I want a bigger person's donut now. I don't want it sprinkled on it anymore. I want something else. So it was really interesting. So instead of, I took that trigger and I'm like, right, what do I need to let go of here? And I went and got some help with it, because I knew exactly what it was. And it was about terror as a child and feeling terror and no control now as an adult. And I had to remind myself, I'm not that little girl anymore. I'm an adult now. And it was brilliant. It was just a brilliant, pivotal thing. And your super conscious and your subconscious and your, not so much your mind, that's a bit of a, robot, but your super conscious and your subconscious will teach you things. And it's about us paying attention to those signs. And sometimes they come out our own mouths.
They do. And sometimes they're very painful triggers where you just want to go and hide from it all. But that's really powerful what happened to you. And that was really a bit of courage just to say, hey, hang on, why am I being triggered here? And how can I get back into alignment? Because especially when it is an old trigger that's not relevant anymore, we hang on to so much of that shit.
We were talking about something that happened 41 years ago. And he just, I can't even remember what he said. And most of the time when we get triggered, we're so caught in our own emotion that we can't remember what the sentence was or what the word was. And it's irrelevant, because it did exactly what it needed it to do, which was to say to me, I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm an adult now.
Absolutely.
And when I said that, Terry looked at me like, are you on crack? And I'm like, I'll be back. I'm going to go and meditate on this, So, and thankfully, we've got a relationship that we can have that conversation, that I feel safe and secure by saying something like that and not feeling like I'm going to be judged or ridiculed. Or so, it was a eye-opening sentence. It really was in so many different ways.
But you've deliberately created that alignment in your relationship too. So, that's really the opportunity everybody's got in their own life. That's why we're here. Yeah. We're here just to, be more of ourselves and less of what other people expect.
Exactly.
That's perhaps come up for people during January, actually. So I'm really glad you've said that story, because that might really help some people that have been out of alignment with triggers. So end of January. Oh my God. So I hope this show has helped you, if you have been listening in or watching. I hope this has helped, and our tips have helped you get back on track if you lost track. If you didn't lose track, fantastic.
Yep.
I love it. It might have maybe you just enjoyed watching or hearing us giggle.
Exactly. But it's great to be back, and we thank you very much for listening, and you can look forward to series 2 with us all year. So well, at least for the first 6 months of the year, then we'll probably do a little break and have a series 3, and we'll see how it all goes. But,
that's right. So thank you for everybody who subscribes to us and who follows us and encourages us to be mad and crazy and informative, and we love it.
We do indeed. All right, Earthlings, talk again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of A Guided Life, proudly sponsored by Holistic Bliss Magazine, and you can find them at www.holisticblissmagazine.com. And don't forget to subscribe, and you'll never miss an episode.
Join our online community. Look for A Guided Life on Facebook or see the links below. Private readings, coaching and mentoring are available. See our bios and check our page on Facebook for more details. Till next time.
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.